Persona 5 Royal has been out on PC now for almost 2 months, but it's taken that long for the Cockney Gamer gang to provide a fair and honest review given the sheer scale of the game, and more so Reggie has split his time reviewing this between both the PC and the Steam Deck, so my thoughts today come from both angles. The long story is that Persona 5 Royal is a complicated beast that is easy to learn and difficult to master, with adult themes, an engaging story and satisfying combat. The short story is probably the best game released on PC in 2022. So grab yourself a cuppa and let Reggie entertain you as to why this should be top of your Santa list, even if the thought of a JRPG turns you off more than scat. Let's tackle that term JRPG, shall we? I think sometimes it divides many gamers as being a bit geeky, full of lore that is fused with weird and sometimes out there concepts that only the most hardened of nerds appreciate. Well, Persona 5 Royal is still all of these, but done in such an inviting and easy manner that you will find yourself sucked in and spat out the other end a changed person. Japanese role-playing games rightfully have their place in gaming, and here is an example of one that no matter your preference, you're bound to find something to enjoy. Persona 5 Royal starts you out as a teenage kid who finds himself on the wrong side of the law for doing the right thing. We've all been there, boys and girls. You get shipped off to school trying to find your place in life, but along the way you discover a phone app that transports you to a dual reality. Grinder it ain't. Long and short of it is you can impact other people's lives in the real world by doing some crafty shit in the alternate reality. Without going into too much details here, you find yourself forming a gang where you steal people's arts in the hope of making them change their real life attitudes. If this sounds a bit bananas and something akin to the X-Files, then you'd be bloody right. But Persona 5 presents these ideas in such a subtle and easy way that is able to keep building on these concepts throughout its gargantuan campaign. As an example, the first Muppet you come across is a horny PE teacher who you find is sexually abusing the school kids and beats them. Whoa! Fucking rewind, Reggie. What did you just say? Yes, my Padawans, Persona 5 Royal might present itself as a fun, loving, cartoony game, but perhaps the biggest shock when playing this for the first time, and those new to the series, is the themes it tackles, and by and large it tackles them quite well, as a good versus evil type mantra flows through the whole game, where right and wrong are presented, but also the concept of whether or not two wrongs make a right. And before you know it, you come across a talking cat, a chavvy teenager who drops F-bombs like no tomorrow, and a female protagonist who watches her best mate try and commit bloody suicide. Persona 5 Royal then, for all its colour and vibrancy, is a dark game filled with content that is definitely not suitable for little youngsters. But back to my example of the pedo teacher. Eventually you're able to enter his consciousness Inception style, where inside his mind he has built a fortified palace. Inside you get to view his consciousness as scantily clad girls roam about or volleyball boys appear beaten. And here is your first taste of combat, where shadows manifest themselves into all types of monsters to protect his heart. Now, Persona 5 Royal, like a lot of JRPG, is turn-based, so you and your team have the ability to guard, attack, shoot a gun, or most importantly, use your persona. The persona is the rebellion that lives inside of you, usually symbolised by your own monster, god-type figurine that you use to fight back. They have different abilities that all play out like a rock, paper, scissors type mechanic, where fire, wind, arcane damage and the like all affect the different enemy types. I could literally speak to you for the next 20 minutes explaining the combat intricacies, but there are other YouTube videos that do that way better. Just know though that it's incredibly satisfying as the systems get presented to you bit by bit. It's not complicated by any stretch of the imagination, but after several hours you're going to take a step back and just appreciate what Atlas here have created. So whilst the main purpose here is to steal these arts, that only explains a fraction of the game. The other part is living your teenage life, where studying for school increases stats, where creating bonds with your mates helps create better personas, allowing you to fuse them together to create powerful attacks, where you can go to the cinema to learn how to be charming, where you go shopping to buy cool shit, where you do crossword puzzles to increase your intelligence, you work jobs to increase proficiency and get some cash. Again, you're going to be bored stiffless if I try and explain everything you can do here, but it's literally hundreds of different activities to help build your stats to conquer more difficult palaces as the game unwinds. And this is the beauty of Persona 5 Royal. There is always something to do, always something to try, but time never stops. With each heist you have an allotted time to complete them in, and you'll never truly have downtime as the game pushes you along with each activity you complete, beginning a new segment of the day. To add more complexity here, the weather can impact and lead you on what the best activities are to do to maximise the effectiveness of your learnings. On top of this, there is a subway system that almost acts like its own palace in the alternate reality, where nasty people exist, but not the super duper evil fucks, god no. Instead, these are like side quests where your role is to explore these procedurally generated subways, building up your combat stats, gaining items, and taking down pesky dickheads. It's a wonderful and complex journey, and the depth of the characters and relationships build to an epic crescendo that leaves you feeling warm and fuzzy inside come the final credits. But here is where some of the issues start to arise. The final cutscenes in Persona 5 Royal, with all its extra content, may take the best part of 120 plus hours. Put it this way, for my money the real tutorial ends around 20 hours in, a little way after you completed the first palace, as the majority of the systems are then explained to you. Reggie gets that cutscenes and reading text are a key part of games of this nature, but it does seem at times, especially in that first 20 hours, that characters are explaining stuff to you like you're a 5-year-old child, even though there are themes of paedophilia in those opening segments. One of the characters, named Ryuji, I started to despise, an annoying cretin of a man who questions every single fucking thing, even though it's explained clearly to you 2 or 3 times over. It therefore feels at times that Persona 5 Royal is perhaps a little longer than it should be for its own good, as the repetitive nature of the script starts to show through. As for the characters, there is a love-hate relationship with them. I personally found the talking cat annoying as fuck, and one Weasley little kid who's like a little wet blanket roams around and mopes about as if he's eaten fucking dust for dinner every single day of his life. The Cockney boys wanted to give him a proper good slap, but I powered through, sighing along the way, until eventually I found I loved these characters. I started to understand their own trials, and before long was rooting for them. And so Persona 5 Royal is a game that demands your patience, but if you provide it, you're going to be handsomely rewarded. There are other contradictory points that Persona 5 struggles with. Firstly, we got a story about a pedo teacher, and yet the developers sexualise your female teammate by having her wear a sexy red latex suit, or even the romancing of other senior school figures is a bit Jimmy Savile at times and confuses itself of its own morality that it tries so hard to press upon you. The next major issue I have is strangely with the additional features over the PlayStation original. Now the game is already 5 years old, so what you get here are some Brucey bonuses. But unbeknownst to Reggie and the boys, one of the early items this game gives you without any warning is your own super duper persona that basically decimates anything that is thrown your way in battle. It destroys all rewarding combat for you because there is nothing that you can't defeat. It's a real shame then that the game doesn't warn you, or more to the point, doesn't at least make you work hard for it and offer it halfway through the game. To anyone playing, just ignore the little cardboard box found under your bed in your room early on, as it almost feels like a cheat mode. So on to the Steam Deck segment of the review. Persona 5 Royal is made for the Steam Deck. In fact, I'd say it's the best game you can buy right now for Gabe Newell's little toy. What you get here is a mainly smooth 60 frames per second experience with occasional drops in built up areas. Now these can be remedied by going to a locked 40 frames per second, but I found the occasional dips worth it for the mainly 60 FPS experience I got. And note, we are talking full fat settings here, similar to the PC. Now I did have an issue on my deck where I felt text was jaggy and not quite right on the 800p screen. A quick Reddit search pointed me to an easy fix where I launched the game in 1080p mode from the Steam launcher, and voila, text issues are crystal clear. Battery wise, I am playing this at around 12 total power draw, and I'm getting around, I don't know, 3 hours or so. The reason Persona 5 works so well on the deck is that it's so text heavy, but also relaxing. You could fly from LA to London and back again and just about complete the tutorial. Whilst the game is massive, it's ideal for on-the-go gaming. Add in cloud saves, and Reggie found he could swap between PC and Steam Deck where needed. The controls are also solid, and the quick resume feature of the deck means that you can hop in and out on the fly before making your next beer. If you own a Steam Deck, then grab Persona 5 Royal. It's pinnacle Gabe creamery. Onto graphics and more notably the art style. Rarely does a game get released that houses such a slick presentation, especially in the way menus and stats are presented to you. You can see the painstaking love the artists put into this game, and even when providing you the results of a battle, your character will sweep across the screen with little bits of menu movement catching your eye and a flow that leads your pupils from one area of the screen to the next. Even when characters talk, you'll have little beating callouts below their excellently animated faces, and it very much feels like you're part of a living comic book. It's anime through and through, and as you progress through the game, it's punctuated with these little cartoon movies. Persona 5 is relatively simple in its aesthetic, but because of this, it can create a rich world where people commute about the place or school halls are filled with teenage angst. The world of Persona 5 feels alive with a wonderful colour palette on display and rich environments to discover. However, you can tell there is still some PlayStation 4 seeping through here, with some character models not housing any facial features, presumably to help with the console resources back in the day. So it would have been nice perhaps for a bit more work here to bring us into 2022, but again, we need to remind ourselves this is 100 plus hours of content for the story alone, with huge worlds to traverse. Overall, it's a superb experience, and in 4K, 120 frames per second, it's orgasmic. Da 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 da. Yeah, the sound, it is infuriatingly addictive. I can reel off beats with my eyes closed and you'll find yourself nodding along and tapping your hands to the musical score. It's got a wonderful mix of songs sung by female artists, an almost jazz-like backdrop, and thousands of sound effects bring to life every gunshot, sword swipe and persona skill. What really surprised me though was the sheer quantity of speech in the game. Usually with so much story and text to read, developers focus more on the gamer to do the hard work and read everything. But with Persona 5 Royal, it feels like an almost 50-50 split, giving your own eyes a rest from the ream of text that is before you. It's incredible to think how many hours of speech were recorded for the game, and it just adds further to the slick presentation and helps build the personality traits of key characters. There is little, if anything, to criticise the soundscape on. So Persona 5 is a momentous piece of gaming history. Whatever your views are on JRPGs, you owe it yourself to at least give this a try. And if you're lucky enough to own a Steam Deck, it's an absolute must. It's not entirely perfect, it has some pacing issues, especially in the early game, and whilst it mainly tackles adult themes well, it sometimes trips over its own 2 feet. Combat is punchy and satisfying, but the story is truly where Persona 5 is made. It's rich, absorbing, and come the end you wish you had that first time experience. If you've played Persona 5 before, it might be hard for Reggie to recommend it at the $60 price tag, but if it's on sale, it's worth another playthrough for sure. Because Persona 5 Royal is one of those games that eventually will steal your own heart, where the sum of its parts make up for an epic journey that few, if any, games can even match. And that, my friends, is why it's one of the best releases this year on PC, and why it's one of the all-time great games. With that, love to you all, Reggie out.